I'm Joel Sharpton, one half of the Articulate Coven, and this is 5 things you probably missed in episode 7 of Interview with the Vampire. Armand and Daniel. Book readers were especially excited to learn that Rashid is really Armand. In the original novel Interview with the Vampire, Daniel Malloy is never named. He's only referred to as the boy. He doesn't get a name until the 3rd novel in the Vampire Chronicles series, The Queen of the Damned. Daniel and Armand share a storyline in that book, referred to by fans and Anne in her chapter title as the Devil's Minion. No spoilers for what's to come here in the show, but it would be a safe bet if you've thought to yourself, there's something more between them. There is. There totally is. Those who must be kept. Lestat and Louis are discussing where they might go now that they've decided to leave New Orleans.
What about Greece? Cradle of Western civilization.
And Lestat references those who must be kept. This is a direct reference to his novel, The Vampire Lestat, and the secrets about the origin of vampirism that he discovers in that book. Lestat is sworn to secrecy about that knowledge. Louis and Claudia are both angry at Lestat for the lack of information that he shares, but genuinely, he's promised to do so. Lestat could have handled it better, but he's not just being a problem. Mardi Gras. Louis is right. There is no way you could get to be king of Mardi Gras with only a few weeks to spare. The Mardi Gras parades are planned a year in advance and often many years in advance, just as Tom Anderson says.
Where to start? 1, not in the party planning business. 2, it's January. You're a little bit behind the gun.
You can join a crew, though, and with the right connections and donation, you could even ride on a float. But King is generally reserved for local notables or national figures that would drive crowd attendance. There are many crews, of course, 78 active crews as of last carnival season. But even with a fortune of gold from Lestat's lawyers, Roger and Albert, it's unlikely they'd throw out their theme and King just for you. Lestat may be a brat prince, but he wouldn't be king of Mardi Gras. Probably. Also, for the record, Mardi Gras is one day, Fat Tuesday, immediately preceding Ash Wednesday. But the carnival season lasts for several weeks. From the 12th night of Christmas, also known as King's Day, which gives us the King Cake, and concluding at midnight of Ash Wednesday. That then begins 40 days of Lent, hence the reason for the massive celebration. Antoinette's return and demise. Antoinette wasn't that much of a surprise for book readers, but TV show watchers probably were surprised to see her. The novels have a male Antoine as Lestat's secret fledgling, and he's only turned after Louis and Claudia have attacked Lestat the first time. That's right, they try to kill this dude twice in the books. After the first attack, Lestat appeals to Antoine, his musician boyfriend, for help, turns Antoine into a vampire, and then the two of them attack Louis and Claudia again together. As we see in the 1994 film, though, Louis and Claudia escape, burning the house down with Antoine and Lestat inside. Antoine doesn't appear again in the novels until Anne Rice's final trilogy, starting with 2014's Prince Lestat. Lestat, meanwhile, does appear again much sooner than that.
Blame the teacher, not the student.
All right, let's talk about the vampire Armand. The vampire Armand, one of Anne Rice's most famous creations, appears in 10 of the Vampire Chronicle novels as a main character, including in the original Interview with the Vampire. Fans speculated from very early on that Rashid was in fact a vampire himself, and Armand seemed to be one of the more likely ones. In the novels, Armand is born in Kiev, Russia, at the end of the 1400s, and is originally named Andrei. Andrei, who would later be called Amadeo and then Armand, was a brilliantly gifted painter as a mortal, a skill that he hasn't pursued in the hundreds of years since his turning. In the books, Armand was created by Marius, a powerful vampire with connections to the origin of the species, and a major character in later books, including the sequel, the vampire Lestat, which means he'll be a major player in this TV series. Armand himself eventually becomes the master of the theater of vampires, which we see images of in the scrapbook he throws at Daniel's feet. The theater is located in Paris, France, a place that Lestat was clearly against traveling to earlier in this season. That theater will be a major center point for both the second half of this novel and the second season of this series. By the way, if you've been watching Season 1 of Interview with the Vampire on Netflix, Season 2 is available right now on AMC Plus and in digital storefronts like Amazon and Apple. There is also a Blu-ray and DVD version available in certain locations around the world. That's our 5 facts that you probably missed in the season finale. Here's your lagniappe fact. Lagniappe means, in Cajun French, a little something extra. Lestat's speech to Louis about the beauty of New Orleans on the balcony towards the end of this episode is pulled straight from the novel by Anne Rice, except it's Louis' thoughts in the novel, used here by Lestat to describe both the city and their relationship. New Orleans, though beautiful and desperately alive, was desperately fragile. There was something forever savage and primitive there, something that threatened the exotic and sophisticated life both from within and without. Not an inch of those wooden streets, nor a brick of the crowded Spanish houses had not been bought from the fierce wilderness that forever surrounded the city, ready to engulf it. Hurricanes, floods, fevers, the plague, and the damp of the Louisiana climate itself worked tirelessly on every hewn plank or stone facade, so that New Orleans seemed, at all times, like a dream in the imagination of her striving populace, a dream held intact at every second by a tenacious, though unconscious, collective will. New Orleans, beautiful and desperately alive. That's about as beautiful a way to describe my favorite city as I've ever come across. And some pretty fantastic writers have taken a swing at describing New Orleans. Thank you for watching my Season 1 videos about Interview with the Vampire. Make sure and check out all the videos here on the channel as we cover not only Interview, but also the Mayfair Witches and the forthcoming Talamasca series. You can also check out our spin-off podcast, Flan Again, where we've been covering Midnight Mass from Mike Flanagan. If you are continuing on with AMC Plus or by purchasing into Season 2 of Interview with the Vampire, come back in 2 weeks when I'll start covering Louis and Claudia's European adventures.